What's up, everybody? Jeff Sintel, DogNation.com, and we have a special Before the Hedges edition tonight. Streaming live, actually, from Woodstock, Georgia, practicing our social distancing. Hope everybody's doing great out there. Social distancing, lots of big news to get into today on the state of Georgia front. No more schools. The end of the school year, Governor Kemp has mandated that. That's a new doctrine that's came out. That's big. I'm sure every high school kid and middle school kid and elementary school kid in the state of Georgia knows about that. But the other thing, just to quickly get into it, is the NCAA has mandated that the quiet period still will be in effect for all NCAA schools until May 31st. That's essentially means no on-campus recruiting, no official visits for the 2021 class until at least June the 1st. Those are big items right now, but what I want to talk to you guys tonight is about that special guest. We got to call this, the dopest program in the history of Before the Hedges. That's because we've got 2021 Georgia commitment, David Daniel, the big thumper at the back end for Woodstock High School, here with us. David, welcome to Before the Hedges, man. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, man. First off, I want to let everybody say hello. You got David Daniel here. Look at him. He's always representing the G. He's big about that 10 toes down about Georgia.
Yes,
David, if I had to, we all get our routines. For me, it's a bowl of cereal. It's writing some stories. It's trying to get exercise. What are you doing right now to kind of get through and have a routine right now for this self at home and quarantine stuff?
With everyone being out of school because of the virus or whatever, I'm waking up, getting straight to school. I'm getting that done by probably 12, 1 o'clock. I eat my lunch or whatever. I go work out for a little bit. And, after I work out, I go take my shower, have the rest of the night to myself.
You feel like you're missing something? That's what some people are telling me. They're missing the camaraderie. I know you're probably thinking you got to stay in shape and get your grind on and get that elite tackle training, that DB training. What do you feel like's the biggest thing going through a teenager's mind right now about all this?
Everyone's trying to stay safe, because what's going on, how big it's gotten, the virus. But my main thing is, just live in the moment. You never know when something's going to happen. So it's pretty clear with what just happened with the virus recently that everything's unexpected. So, just live it to the fullest.
Do you have a couple of favorite things you like to do? Some guys tell me they get on the sticks, they get on the game. Some guys tell me they got to run around their neighborhood. They've never been in as good shape as they are now. What are you doing that are kind of the things you do during chill time?
I'm always on the game. I love Madden. That's because I play football. That's been my lifestyle or whatever. But I play Madden. I play Call of Duty, games like that, just to keep myself sane.
Guys, we're going to spend about, maybe 20 minutes here with David. I'm going to ask him a couple more Jeff Reporter questions, and then you guys drop your questions in the feed. Anything that I can see on there besides him giving away the whole class or yada, 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 anything that any details that he's allowed to bring to the light of day right now, we're going to talk about. I just wanted you guys to get a chance to see this young man tonight, see some personality. I mean, goodness, we're all trying to make do. Like David said, we're living in the moment. But the one thing we're trying to do is trying to make this normal. And for all you folks out there, if David and I can make you smile tonight at 6 o'clock, you can learn about the future of the Georgia defense, then that would be a win for us.
Sure.
David, I guess, I talk to so many recruits right now that are uncommitted, and they feel like they're a 5-star or the number one whatever in the country right now because they're getting 3 times as many calls, FaceTime calls, texts, chats. What's that like for you, which is a very solidly committed recruit to the University of Georgia? What's that like for you?
I can say once you commit, it does get a little more aggressive. I still have schools calling me, texting me back to back. I got Florida State, Florida, Georgia Tech, Alabama, schools like that, just constantly text me, just letting you guys know we're in our minds, things like that, making sure the family's safe. But I mean, I enjoy it. I want to thank them for that, but I'm saying my 10 toes down.
David, I guess right now, I think Georgia would be in their 8th spring practice by now. Do you think you would have went up to check out spring practice by now, watch the workouts? What were you going to be doing this month had we had a normal March?
I would have been up there as much as possible, just because that's where I'm going to be spending my next 4 to 5 years. I'm trying to get the whole perspective on everything we're about to be doing and hopefully, get my spot up there.
So if you guys follow him on social media, I think one of the things you notice, first off, you're not following him. Follow him right now. What's your handle for everybody out there? I think it's Dope or David X. What is it?
All right, on Twitter, it's David_X_dope. And on Instagram, it's David.Daniel with 3 L's.
So if you follow him, I think, what is it? Your goal, you want to be 6'3", 205 by the time you enroll in January, right?
Yes, sir. That'd be a dream.
How close are you right now? Are you about 195? Where are you at right now?
I'm probably like 190. I know I'm 6'2", but I'm probably like 190, 193 in between there.
And folks, I don't know if you know this, but the guy's committed. He was a top 50 recruit when he committed, but I think you work about as hard as anybody I know, because you got a tackling guy that helps you work with your tackling and your fitness and your leverage. And then you train with Glenn Ford, which is I Dare You, where you get your DBs, your drops, your turns, your pedals. I mean, it seems like you're trying to augment 2 areas of your game at the same time.
I specialize in both. I feel like I can cover the field in the back end, just sideline to sideline, faster than, whoever can. But I also like coming down in the box. I'm not afraid of contact. So, I'm always trying to go knock someone's head off.
I can attest to that. I saw Woodstock play Walton last year. You know what I'm going to bring up, David, because, that was an end of Woodstock season. Yeah. And it was a thrilling game, man. It was. I mean, it was – Woodstock went for the win. They got it. It had to be the biggest win of your season last year against Walton, a pretty good team. And afterward, you're with your boy Colby Cox, and everybody's like taking pictures. And I'm not lying, folks. David literally, when Colby's like strutting and getting his selfie game on, he just waylays him and just brings him to the ground. It's like Bobby Boucher or something. That's how you meet people. Why did you want to waylay your boy like that?
Man, that's Kobe, my dog. I love him, But when I first got here to Woodstock, he was like one of the first few people to talk to me or whatever, just because we was on the football team together. We got close or whatever, hung out a few times outside of school, outside of football. He's a cool dude. So, seeing him end his season like that, it made me happy, it made him happy. So, I don't know. It's just acting out of craziness, I guess.
Just being boys, right?
Yes, sir.
So David is going to play in the SEC at Georgia. Colby's going to be a long snapper at Mississippi State. So you guys might cross paths one time during the next 4 years.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Before I get to you guys, we got a lot of people joining in, a lot of questions. Folks, this is David Daniel, the 2021 Georgia safety commit. 6'2" now, about 190 or so. Wants to get to 6'3", 200. He committed to Georgia over a host of schools. He just felt right last year. I remember a great story where he just knew he's on the field. Coach Warren is there. He's hanging out. Coach Warren grabs his younger sister and basically whirlybirds her across the field. And it just felt right to you, didn't it, David?
Yes, sir. Coach Warren, he was talking to my sister, whatever. He grabbed her, whatever. And mind you, when I visited these other schools, my sister didn't want to go near any of these coaches. So to see her go to Coach Warren after, our second visit, I think, it was amazing. I was like, she's never touched any of the other coaches, let alone get near them. So I was just like, that's maybe a start to something.
Yeah. David, if folks don't know, you've moved to Woodstock. You grew up in South Florida. It's really funny, man, how you got a lot of connections with a lot of guys that are in the 2021 class that down in South Lauderdale, Fort Lauderdale, South Florida area. Like I've seen pictures of you with Dallas Turner. I've seen pictures of you. You might have been playing with James Williams at this time. What's that like seeing all the guys you grew up with now maybe on the recruiting board at Georgia again?
I'm proud of them. We all grew up together playing football. I'm happy to see everybody's eating.
Everybody's eating. Last one for me, David, and then I'll get to all these questions. What keeps you committed to Georgia?
The contact. I talk to maybe Coach Lanning, Coach Warren 2-3 times a week. I love talking to them, getting to know their family, just kicking it, talking about other things outside of football. Coach Lanning was talking to me the other day about some food his wife made. I think it's called foo. It was some type of soup. So, it's cool just learning new things.
Look at that, learning soup. You got David Lanning. You got David and Dan Lanning talking food right now, man. What other world besides COVID-19 would they be talking about cooking soup like that? All right, guys. Got a question. Well, first of all, Mitchell Gray says, respect the new specs, man. They like your new specs, man. They're calling you the new. I think my man Mitchell Gray is trying to call you the new specs, like Rodrigo was before.
No. Yeah, I know you're talking about Rodrigo.
Colby Curry wants to know, David, who do you compare yourself to, if anybody, on the current roster? Is there anybody that your game's a little bit of this guy or a little bit of that guy?
I could mix myself between Richard LeCount and DeVar Wilson, just because DeVar's size and how he plays in the box and how Richard can span the field sideline to sideline.
Good question. Getting this question from a lot of people, David, I'll just kind of combine it. Who are the guys that, if coaches said, okay, we need you to go get this guy and we need you to go get this guy, who are the ones that you would want to go get and recruit to maybe feel the same way, that just at least know the same things about Georgia that you know?
I got to say, Barrett Carter, Tony, Amarius Mims, and probably Smile.
Yeah, Smile's a triple jumper. I don't know if you know that, but he used to run track when there was such a thing as high school track season. But he thinks he could triple jump like 48, 49 feet, man. And that's a linebacker at 6'3", 205. David, you said something on your Twitter feed. I want to make sure everybody understands you the right way, because, man, I hope you see how humble he comes across. This is a really grounded dude, great family. But when someone asked you to name your top 5 safeties, you had an interesting top 5. And can you share that with us and why?
I had them up there. I had myself at number 5 simply because, self-confidence is everything. I feel like I can be one of the best out there. I've been working on this for God knows how long, since I was 3 or 4. I enjoy what I do. So.
Who would be the other top 4? Who would be your number 1? Is that Sean Taylor, or is that Brian Dawkins, or who's your number 1 over top, or Chancellor?
Sean Taylor.
Yep, it's his birthday today. By the way, respect the GOAT,
Right.
Sean Taylor. Joseph Kennedy, man, they like your fashion. They like your pullover, man. We got some of that right there. Mitchell Gray says, they say dogs are a good judge of people. I like this guy.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate all the comments. Ronnie, Jenny Weaver. We got to make sure everybody gets their questions here. Ronnie and Jenny wants to know, what do you feel about the black jerseys, man? Do you feel like you got to wear the black jerseys at least once in your career at Georgia?
Yes, I have to. Those black jerseys are tough, man. I don't know what Coach Kirby doing over there, but we got to start pulling those out more.
Well, the one thing I can promise you is the defense will wear the black jerseys during G-Day.
Yes, sir.
So at least you got that.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Hall wants to know, David, what's your workout routine?
I'll give you a Tuesday. We go in there, we warm up with our shoulder circles, I guess, and then we get into bench. And after we do bench, we're doing floor bench, 1-arm bench, and then these dumbbell pulls, where you bent over. Then we go to, single leg squats, Bulgarian split squats, and box jumps. And that's basically the whole workout. But we're doing 5 sets of each.
How long will you do that? How long will that's about 40 minutes, a good sweat, I guess, right there. How long does that take you to get that circuit?
Yeah, that's 40, 50 minutes. And once you finish that, we got 20 minutes to shower before school.
Wow. Uh, David, once everything comes back to normal, how long do you think it will take you to get maybe in drill shape and then in playing shape? How long do you think that will take? Some college coaches think 2 months.
Honestly, I couldn't really tell you because I'm staying in shape right now and I'm still working out and everything, just in small groups or whatever, trying to keep my social distancing. But I don't know, probably like a month or two.
David, what are your thoughts on the news of the day, how recruits won't be allowed back on campus until June the 1st? What do you think that means to you? What do you think that might mean to the Georgia class? You think it might take a lot longer to get all this stuff done?
I mean, it's fair because all schools are doing it, but I think, I don't think anything will be set back. I just think it's going to, change the whole schedule of everything. The whole spring practice, that's getting pushed back. They're not even going to have spring anymore, but I'm talking about, visits and stuff like that. The dates are going to be pushed back towards, the middle of the year more so than the end.
David, I got a lot of people on this feed. They're wondering if there's a team you will love to play as a Georgia Bulldog. And I'm sure they want me to ask you if you will enjoy competing against and beating as a Georgia Bulldog. Is there a team out there that you're looking forward to strapping it up against?
I'd have to say Clemson. I'm ready to get out there and play against them.
You get the feeling that that's the new standard, I guess, for Georgia a little bit?
Yes, sir. I feel like that's going to set the tone, for the whole organization.
And I think you might play in at least one Georgia-Clemson game, right? Have you circled that and noticed that news lately, how Georgia's going to play Clemson twice over the next 5 years?
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm hoping I'm there for at least one of them, playing in one of them, but whatever God got for me.
David, this is a good question from Brett Barfield. They want to know, are you excited to take on the challenge of meeting Kirby's high defensive expectations? Now, Richard LeCount was a fantastic recruit, but he caught some earful of some coaching his freshman year at Georgia. Are you ready for that, being coached by one of the great defensive back minds in all college football?
I'm ready. It'd be an honor. I've been being coached since I was about 3 or 4, like I said before. But, I'm ready. Anything to make me better. I know it's in my best interest that they're yapping me out or whatever. So I'm ready for it.
Nice little side note here. I'm sure you know this, although Glenn probably keeps everything on the chill. Glenn Ford, former Georgia defensive back, you guys that remember Bulldogs back in the 90s, Glenn was a DB for the Bulldogs, and now he is a DB trainer across the state of Georgia, mostly works in the metro Atlanta area, worked with a lot of DBs. I mean, DBs that go to Notre Dame, DBs that go to Tech, DBs that go to Clemson. What's that like being trained by him? Is he even brought it up that, he can't wait to see what you can give the G one day?
Nah, he's a chill dude, like you said before. He hasn't brought up any of the past. I know he's done great things coaching-wise, but, we kind of just work out throughout that session, and then we'll talk to each other after, just saying, oh, it was a good workout, looking forward to the next one.
He's got a good player comparison for you. In my next David Daniels story, I'm going to drop that, but he pulled out a name of a former Alabama defensive back from Jacksonville. Has he ever told you who you remind him of?
No, he hasn't told me nothing.
Oh wow.
He said,
it's a compliment. It's a compliment. He said your game just really reminds him a whole lot of that guy. Mitchell Gray, another guy, he's enjoying this feed. He's like, that's the mentality the players need to have. Clemson is a standard outside the box of the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
David Rand, we got a lot of questions, man. I'm going to maybe a little bit overtime, David. I'm going to try to get you out of here in a little bit.
No, we good.
Randy Hall wants to know your favorite professional team.
I don't have a favorite professional team. I know that's kind of cliche. I just have those few select players I watch from each team. I can tell you. Jamal Adams, yeah. Earl Thomas III. Who else? The dude on the Chargers.
That's Derwin James? Darwin James?
Yeah, Derwin.
Yeah.
Those are top 3 that I watch now.
First of all, guys, hey, I hope you notice this. It's a little bit different, new wrinkle here for Before the Hedges. We're using Zoom. Everybody's using Zoom these days. Talking to David Daniel. We're going to bring a lot more of these in the future with 2021 recruits, commits, everything else like that. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you like the format, you like the look, and David dressed himself, so the wardrobe belongs on him. But just let us know what you think about that. David, Tyler Burrows has a question. If 2020 happens as normal, what are your personal goals for your senior season at Woodstock High School?
I said this last year. I'm just trying to beat what I had the year before, put a better look on myself, do what I do.
Brian Brogan says, glad you're committed to the G. Gives us 2 red and black circle emojis apiece. David, what do you think? A lot of questions coming through here. Randy Hall says you sound like a leader on the field, could call defenses in the future. What do you think? Is there anything like major wise? Have you figured out what you want to study in school? You're an academically minded kid. I know your mom and dad, so they're going to make sure you go hit those books. What are you thinking about in terms of your college major and your path of study?
I'm thinking either sports management, sports medicine, or engineering. I'm stuck in between the 3 right now because of how I want my future to work out.
David, is there a player on the team that you're tight with or you listen to and watch a lot? Is like, I guess when you go to workouts and you go to spring drills or summer drills, wherever you go, is there a guy you're going to watch him work and watch the way he goes about his business and say, that's a guy I need to be like from day one at Georgia in terms of their work habits and the way they play the position?
Mm-hmm. I can say that I've been like keeping my eyes on Eric Stokes, just seeing how he his techniques and stuff like that. But I can say I'm like, if we're talking about how close I am with one of the players, I've been talking to Kendall Milton for a minute. He's a cool dude. But yeah, I can say Eric Stokes is, I wouldn't say my role model, but I could see myself playing like him.
I guess it means something to you to grow up in the state of Georgia and then go play for Georgia, or at least live in the state of Georgia.
Yes, sir.
Kendall Milton's he's an old soul, man. He likes Nipsey a lot, man, but he's like, he looks like a grown man, but he acts like a grown man too.
Yes, sir. Cool dude.
David, who's somebody that, I want to make sure people get a sense of you. Who's somebody that you got to be thankful for to getting you where you are today? Who's somebody that you look back and the player you are right now, the person you are right now, the worker right now, it wouldn't be the same without that person in your life?
That's got to be your parents. Just all the sacrifices they've made for me to do what I wanted to do, for me to carry on what I've been doing. I'm so thankful for that. I don't know where I would have been without them.
As we all should say. David, what did you think was going to happen this year with Georgia in the defense? You expected that unit to be very strong with everybody coming back?
Yeah, I'm ready to watch that, because for them to get a #1 recruiting class, plus the defensive players that are coming back, like, that was going to be a scary sight for the SEC.
Jamel Major wants to know, what are you bumping in that playlist right now, man? What music are you listening to right now?
You got to get that Key Glock, Lil Baby, Dub Baby. Who else? NBA Youngboy. I'll give you one more. Probably A Boogie. Oh, wow. Those are the top 5 that I listen to right now.
Is there one that's come out recently that brings the most fire, that just went up the charts? Which one do you like? What's the song you listened to recently that you really
recently, like? Lil Baby Grace and the album My Turn. That song snap.
Have you heard the song that Kendall's uncle or cousin made? Like
I heard about it, but I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, it's called Dog Nation. He actually did the commitment rap for his commitment video, for Kendall's commitment video. He is a gospel rapper of all things. So it's
you don't see that everywhere. Gospel rappers.
Yep. Kendall, you got a movie you like? David, you got a movie you like?
I grew up watching like Stomp the Yard, movies like that. I don't know if you've seen that before. It's
Yeah.
You seen it? Yeah, that movie's good.
I like Drumline. You like that one? You seen
Yeah,
that one?
With Nick Cannon? Yes, sir. That one was good. Appreciate it.
Are you a comedy guy? Are you a horror movie guy? Are you an action movie guy? Superhero movie guy? Like, what would get your money if it came out? Like, when it comes out, you want to go see that movie?
I think more so action than anything else, just because all those events happening at once is kind of like you get you get to take it in or whatever. So.
All right, guys, we got David. David's got to get back to some homework. Got to be chasing the little sister around. Hey, folks, before we let him go, from all of us here at Dog Nation, David is super to work with. A great kid. We hope to do a whole lot more with him in the future before he gets up there to Athens. But I just want to say thanks from all of us, and I'm sure everybody on the feed would much rather talk to you for about 20, 25 minutes than just a straight hour of me talking about this guy and this guy and this guy. So, David, certainly appreciate you making some time for us today.
Thank you. Thank you to all the viewers that came out too. Appreciate you.
Take it easy, David.
You too.
All right, guys, everybody, that was David Daniel, the 2021 four-star safety commitment out of Woodstock High School in the state of Georgia. A lot of things there. You guys want to come back to the chat a little bit later, come back to your chat. Everything will be great. So there's David Daniel. A couple things that stood out. I like talking to him about what his life's like off the field. That was a great story from David about his little sister, Coach Warren, holding her, and how he kind of knew there was something different about the Georgia football program, how much he credits his parents, how he grew up in South Florida with guys like James Williams, Dallas Turner. Just makes it a really small little world right there for all things now that all these guys are on the target board, I guess, for the University of Georgia. Yeah, Jamel Major, I agree with you. Seems like a truly awesome young man. Can't wait to get him on campus. Don Lester, hey man, good evening from Kentucky. So let me reset a couple of things that's going on right now, especially college football wise. The state of Georgia, the governor Kemp for the state of Georgia has announced that schools are closed for the end of the term. That means there will be no schoolhouses. There will be no high school left for state of Georgia high school students, elementary school students, middle school students. So I guess first and foremost, your heart really has to go out to those 2020 graduates who are expecting proms and baseball games and track seasons. It's just a crushing thing to know some finality that, spring sports and a lot of those things that make a school year great and a senior year great, they're just not going to happen for this year of young people, this class of young people. That's the coronavirus kind of update. The other thing to think about here today is we've got kind of major NCAA news, especially how it affects recruiting. We mentioned it at the top of our show since it was such a big recruiting story, but the NCAA has basically said everything will remain as it is right now. That means no official visits, no unofficial visits, no recruiting on campus, period, until at least June the 1st. They've backed it up until that time. Certainly that's going to be a different thing with like dead period, quiet period, contact period, evaluation period. Summer camps just became a lot more important whenever those might happen. That's a big news, guys. It basically means that this 2021 recruiting cycle is going to be radically different from everything we've experienced before. I'd imagine they're going to have to change the camp periods, the remaining dead periods, because really, and what was only supposed to be a dead period for the month of February, March has now mostly been a dead period, except for maybe a week. Georgia was actually on spring break during that time. Then you've got the month of April, not even here yet. That's going to be dead. The month of May, that's going to be dead. That was a lot of time for evaluations of prospects before those maybe committable offers were accepted and received. So that certainly changes the way a lot of things happen. I think it will back up a lot of evaluations for Georgia. I think it will back up a lot of decisions for some young men. And it might also make some young men decide that, hey, I might as well get in where I fit in and I feel good about right now. So this is going to be an unorthodox recruiting cycle, to say the least. For those that would like to predict patterns and say, well, this is the way it always happens, probably not going to happen that way ever again. I would say long-term, you might see a little bit more busts in the recruiting classes at every school. You also might see some more decommitments from every school as well, when, guys move up and down the boards whenever these things start to happening. If you just joined us, we had a great interview with David Daniel. He will enroll early at the University of Georgia in January of 2021. He's very fond of the phrase 10 toes down with Georgia. He said, even though he's a solidly committed recruit, that a lot of coaches still reach out to him. He's cordial. He's kind. He doesn't want to burn any bridges. He's smart enough to know that the coach that's reaching out to him right now for Virginia Tech or Florida or Georgia Tech, Duke, Miami, that coach might end up being a defensive coordinator one day in the NFL or a head coach one day in the NFL. So he's really keen on not burning any bridges, but he remains solid with Georgia. He talked about swapping some recipes with Dan Lanning, wanting to play some Madden with maybe a coach on the Georgia staff. He's really tight, really close there with Charlton Warren, the defensive backs coach at the University of Georgia. One thing we do, you noticed, we asked David for basically his abbreviated top targets list. David's top targets list included included Shmuel Munden, included Amarius Mims, Tony Grimes, and Barrett Carter. Those were some of the guys on his list. If we're going to go like we do every week, my number one target remains Tony Grimes. That's the 5-star cornerback out of Virginia Beach. The number two target in the class would be, I think, according to our Before the Hedges top targets list for this week, April 1st, 2020. The number two target on the list, I'm going to go ahead and give that to Amarius Mims. Mims dropped his top 10 today. It included Georgia, Alabama, Florida State, Florida, Auburn, Alabama. Marius Mims came out with his top 10. I think as of now, the plan is for him to still commit on his birthday, which is October the 18th. The number 3 target on our top targets list for this week is Barrett Carter. I think he's a phenomenal hunt and chase linebacker, a 3-down linebacker. He's out of North Gwinnett. He's rated as an outside linebacker. He will be an inside linebacker at the next level, at least if he goes to a lot of schools with a 3-4 front like Georgia. Number 4 on the list is James Williams, the number 1 safety in the country, a top 10 overall prospect out of American Heritage in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that area right there. Number 5 on the list is Shmuel Munden, another Georgia boy, plays inside linebacker, outside linebacker for Paulding County. Shmuel is a triple jumper. He plays running back for Paulding County as well. He's number 5. And as I promised, I'm going to go a little bit deeper this week. Number 6 on our top targets this week, Mario Williams. That's the receiver. Georgia recently made his top 5, final 5. That guy's out of Plant City in Plant, Florida. That's the Tampa program, the same program type area which produced Aaron Murray and Orson Charles. That's number 6. Number 7, a new name on the list number 7 is Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards is out of West Bloomfield, Michigan, with Travion Henderson moving to Ohio State and joining Evan Pryor. That running back picture got a little thinner for Georgia at the top of the board with those elite running back targets. Donovan Edwards comes in at number 7 on this week's top target list. And number 8 is Deion Colsey, the wide receiver out of Athens Academy. Deion Colsey, about 6'4", another elite wide receiver, recently decommitted from Notre Dame. Be very interested to see what happens with this recruitment over the next couple of months. I do think the Georgia Bulldogs have a good shot in this re-rack of his decision. Hayes Calloway got a good question. He wants to know if Georgia's going to have a football season. Anybody's going to have a football season. I think that's really touch and go right now, Hayes. I've heard all these things like the season will start late. The season will be abbreviated with only conference games. I've heard things to where the stadiums might not. These are radical theories, guys. Don't take this as gospel yet. This is the speculation town right now. I've heard things where stadiums would be empty and college football would become a spectator sport, basically a TV sport. I'm going to tell you this right now. If they try to play a game at the University of Georgia inside Sanford Stadium and the doors are barred, you're going to have folks taking their TVs to North Campus or somewhere, trying to watch that game together, trying to tailgate or do something. Either that, they're going to tailgate in their front yards and they're going to remain shelter in place. If that ever happens, that would be a unique cultural site across all of the South. Everyone in the South and the SEC would do something like that. I've even heard a theory that was floated to me by a college recruit who was speaking to a college assistant coach. And now, listen, everybody's just spitballing this stuff. If anybody knows what's going to happen, they're sorely mistaken, because we don't know what 3 weeks will look like from now. We don't know what the curve will look like 4 weeks from now, before everybody starts wondering X plus Y equals Z and what will happen. I've even heard one theory that they would sell only half the tickets in the stadium so everybody can maintain their social distancing inside the stadium. Lots of wild things going on right there. Hayes, I guess to answer your question simply and sweetly, nobody knows. Everybody's throwing out these wild random things about how they could salvage the season because this means so much to so many people. I guess everybody's just trying to figure out a way that it all could happen. I don't know about you guys, but if they found a way to keep the season going and it was strictly a TV sport, I don't know if that's the answer at all either. Hope everybody is enjoying another feed so far, our feed so far. One thing I want to bring up, I want to, you see the background right there. You see how we got some George Lucas CGI behind us right now, that Kroger logo. Well, now through April the 10th at Kroger, we're talking about Easter. We're talking about Kroger is your one-hop shop for Easter savings and are ready to fill your baskets with the best. Save 50% now on everything from egg fillers to candy to dye kits and special treats for the kids and their baskets. My kids, it's almost sad. They're getting a little too old for the Easter egg hunting anymore, although they're greedy enough to know that they do want to still get that prize egg with some cold hard cash in the middle. But one thing they're not too old for right now is they're not too old for those Reese's peanut butter cups, all the Peeps, the Cadbury eggs. One way to get a kid out of his room and away from his desk during digital learning right now is to say, hey, would you like some ice cream? Would you like some candy? We got some M&Ms. We got some peanut butter M&Ms. That's a way to get the kids out of the room for a quick little study break. Hopping back onto the feed. Hope everybody's enjoying the broadcast so far. Everybody's reacting to what happened today, the close of the school year. It's officially over. The Governor Kemp issued a decree earlier today. There will be no public school for the remainder of the school term in Georgia. Tyler Jenkins, Brent Peak, thank you for joining us. Randy Hall is talking about Mason Smith as a defensive tackle. That's the 5-star. Needs to make a crucial visit to Georgia in order for the Bulldogs to get in the game there. All right, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying everything so far. You got any questions? You want to know anything about what's going on right now? Let's talk about what was on the dognation.com webpage over the last couple of days. Had a story go up today about Quentin Summerville. Quentin Summerville is the 4-star defensive end outside linebacker out of Saguaro, Arizona. That's the same Saguaro High School SaberCats, which produced Keely Ringo to the state of Georgia in the 2020 recruiting class, that 5-star. His former teammate is Keely Ringo. I want to read you a quote. Let me see if I can read you a quote. Let me see. Let me read you a quote from Quentin. I don't have a graphics department like BA with kids coloring up things right now, but I want to bring you to something about Quentin Summerville. That's on the site today. He's had to back up his, he planned to commit on June the 20th. That was a great day to honor his mother. His mother was born on June the 20th, and he was going to honor her on her birthday on June the 20th. He's not going to have the chance to do that because he can't take the visits in order to find some finality with his decision. He told me he could make the decision today if he absolutely had to, but he doesn't have to. Sounds to me like it's Michigan and Georgia, really in the thick of things there. He mentioned a long-standing relationship with an assistant coach at Michigan. Also mentioned a long-standing relationship with the head coach of the Florida State Seminoles. That's Mike Norvell, who used to be at Memphis, who used to be at Arizona State. That's where he got to know Summerville and his family a little bit. But he also included Washington as a school that would get an official visit. You guys have been following recruiting over the last couple of days. Micah Morris announced his final five. He needs to take his official visits to determine who his winner is out of that final five. That's not going to happen for quite some time. Amarius Mims also established his top 10 today as well, shared that, and he still plans to make his commitment on October the 18th. But listen to this topic from Quentin Summerville. I asked him what comes to mind when he thinks of Georgia. He said, "Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to describe that place." Then he tried to. Definitely, you just get butterflies in your stomach just walking around that place and seeing everything, he said. I mean, immediately when we got into the city, you could kind of just feel it. When obviously you drive by that big old stadium, my jaw just dropped. I was shook. The walking around the facility and meeting all the coaches just gave me butterflies. It was like, wow, I am actually here when I was on that trip. That's definitely one of the most memorable visits I have ever taken. Folks, that's Quentin Summerville, a big-time defensive end prospect, currently the number 4 strong side defensive end in the country. He's the number 70 overall recruit on the 24/7 Sports Composite. He's the number 49 overall recruit on the Pure 24/7 Sports Rating. He's about 6'3" and about 235, 240. Georgia views him as a hand off the ground jack outside linebacker. That's the view he gets from Georgia. Being recruited pretty hard by Dan Lanning. He talks to either Dan Lanning or Nick Williams every day from the Georgia recruiting effort. He talks to a lot of coaches every day. And out in Arizona, they just finally went to a lockdown, shelter-in-place, quarantine type thing earlier this week. I believe that was Monday. So with Quentin, they've had no school for the last 3 weeks, basically most of this month. But they've also didn't have digital learning until last week. Wanted to bring you to, I hope you guys saw the story earlier this week about CJ Washington, a guy who I just headlined the story. He brings to mind Nick Chubb. That's because he works out with Nick Chubb. Brings to mind Nolan Smith. That's because he's got that burst and explosion, that ball get off the edge like Nolan Smith. And he also brings to mind, to me, Fred G. Sanford. Now, first of all, give me a LOL if you actually know who Fred G. Sanford is. Hayes Calloway, I wonder if you know who Hayes Calloway, I wonder if you know who Fred G. Sanford is. But for all you young pups out there, but because to me, I'll always think of Fred G. Sanford when I think of CJ Washington. That's because I asked him, this was back in December before he got his Georgia offer, when he had an offer from, I believe, Coastal Carolina, Albany State, and Nebraska. I said, what would it be like one day if you get that Georgia offer? Because he's been recruited. He's gotten some interest. He's made some trips to Georgia at that point. And he starts going, man. He's like, if I get that Georgia offer, and to me, folks, it looked like a 17-year-old kid giving an impression of Red Fox, Fred G. Sanford. That was an interesting story. It went up on Dog Nation earlier this week. We also were able to put up yesterday Kirby Smart's comments on the coronavirus and how it's affecting Georgia recruiting. You guys, it's no secret that Georgia doesn't really get out of the gate fast with recruiting. That's because they wait for a lot of crucial evaluation periods in the spring and during the summer camps to really lock in their guys about who they want. Kirby Smart stressed, and I thought this was a kind of a classy way to do it from him representing the Georgia program. He stressed that it's not about getting commitments right now. It's not about getting pole position and guys committing early or guys moving it forward or back. For him, it's really the humanity of when you talk to somebody on the phone, and he recruits players all across the country. So he gets a different precinct reporting every day about how are things in Arizona? How are things in Illinois? How are things in North Carolina? How are things in California? How are things in Nevada? You know, he gets a stream of consciousness from the country. And the main thing he worries about are these boys eating? What's the disruption in their life look like? Have families been laid off by this pandemic because they can't work? Really just wants to know a lot of these young men are okay, and to show true concern about them other than how well they can go play the game of football and chase down a ball or carry a ball for the University of Georgia or block for somebody for the University of Georgia. He made that abundantly clear that right now his concern was more about building relationships with their families and these young men's rather than getting them to commit to the University of Georgia. All right, guys. Hope everybody can still hear me. I want to make sure you got any questions. I'll try to do my best to answer them. Sometimes the feed on my phone will go out. And I want to just make sure I'm updating my Facebook feed on my phone so I can track your questions. All right, guys. So South Georgia, Jacob O'Neill is reporting that South Georgia goes shelter in place starting Friday. So we got Leslie Smith Lowthers, Billy Mitzi Sage, Derek Frazier, DeMarco Thomas. They know all about Fred G. Sanford and Sanford Son. You guys know they're on Hulu now. Had a friend of mine tell me that all of the Sanford and Son episodes are on Hulu now. I don't know if you're like me. I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but how I got to know Sanford and Son was during Atlanta Braves rain delays. The Superstation, Channel 17. Can I get a heck yeah if anybody remembers number 17? And when the Braves had a rain delay in the 80s or the 90s, what you got was either the baseball bunch or you got some Sanford and Son. Or Sanford and Son was what led into the 7:05 or the 7:35 broadcast, 7:40 broadcast all the time. You got to learn about the junk business and knuckle sandwiches and everything else like that. Side road of trivia for everybody out there. Former Atlanta Hawk Steve Smith, when he was re-signing with the Hawks, which at that time was owned by TBS and Turner, included as a stipulation in one of his contracts that part of his deal was he would get an episode, he would get a VCR cassette tape back then, I guess what it was, or maybe a DVD. He would have every episode of Sanford and Son given to him as part of his contract. I thought that was one of the more unique contract stipulations I've ever heard of. Got a question from Teresa Pope. Teresa, thanks for joining us. Wants to know about Kumar Wilcox and decommitting from Florida. Well, Teresa, the first thing I can tell you is I don't think he's going to recommit to Florida. Otherwise, that would be a second decommit. He would commit to Florida for the third time. That would be awfully rare for that to happen. I just don't think Kumar felt at home when he kept coming back to Florida. I think Georgia's in there. I think Ohio State's really in there. I know everybody likes to hear about Ohio State doing well in recruiting right now, as if they could get any more stout with what they're doing. But I think Georgia's defensive back hierarchy, if you follow us on the forum.dognation.com, you see a lot of things with Kumar. You see a lot of things as it relates to Kumar in the defensive backfield. I think Georgia's defensive backfield hierarchy would probably go Tony Grimes, James Williams, David Daniel, and then it would go Isaiah Johnson, and it would go that's kind of what the backfield, the back end, the ideal back end kind of looks like right now in terms of the ideal defensive back guys. I don't know if Kumar is in that elite group as of now, because I think Georgia still needs to evaluate him. Kumar's down there. He's a boy out of the Metro Atlanta area, down at IMG Academy. Great defensive back. I think he's a highly adaptable new age defensive back that could play some star, can play some money, can play some show up in the dime, but also be a good back end safety or a cornerback. Kumar makes it very clear, though, that he is a cornerback. That's what he would like to do, stock and trade, starting out in college football. One last time, guys, I want to say thanks to everybody for joining us. If you saw that interview with David Daniel, I'm sure glad you guys got a chance to hang out with us in a new way on Before the Hedges, as we kind of try out some different things to bring you guys good content and at least some socializing with everybody here in our Dog Nation Facebook community. Hope you guys enjoy that. One thing to know for Kroger, now through April the 10th, Easter, Kroger is your one-stop shop for Easter savings and ready to fill your baskets with the best. Save 50% now on everything from egg fillers to candy to dye kits and special treats for the kids and the baskets. Interesting Easter for all of us this year. I wonder how social distancing Easter is going to look like. I remember I always used to go to grandma's house. I had a big family. My mom had 4 brothers, 5. She was one of 5 siblings, and everybody had about 2 or 3 children. So there's about 15 kids, 10 to 15 kids hunting eggs at Mama and Papa's house growing up in North Georgia. Interesting times. And again, I still can't think about all those high school seniors that college seniors at the same time, that they're the last year of their academic lives are over before they even really knew it was over. Just part of the things that go along with flattening the curve and staying really safe and getting ahead of this virus before it really does other damaging things to our country. And that's kind of where I want to leave things tonight. I know we've spent some time talking to a great young man in David Daniel. We got our top targets list. We answered some recruiting questions. I went over a couple of topical newses of the day. We discussed this. The recruiting calendar still keeps moving on. The main thing here is the main thing. Shelter your families. Take care of your loved ones. Don't forget your loved ones that are really especially needing some help at this time. Don't forget those people in your life, in your world, that could use some help at this time. We can all figure out a smart way to help everybody right now. And just kind of make sure that, I tell my kids a lot, like, when they start already wondering about, this summer is going to be terrible. But it's all about making sure the fall will be better and the winter will be better. And next summer will be better. The 12th birthday, the 13th birthday, the 14th birthday, and so on. So from the bottom of my heart, I hope everybody's handling this as best they can. Hopefully some of the programming and content we're producing still on Dog Nation will allow you guys a chance to get through it all a little bit better. I want to say thanks to everybody for joining us. Thanks to David Daniel. Thanks to all of you out there. If you enjoyed the broadcast, give it a like. Maybe share it across your timeline as well, as we try to do. Papa's got a brand new bag right now. We got a new spin on things with our Zoom technology and reaching out to David Daniel and other guests down the future. I would like to thank Michael Carvel and all his good work behind the scenes in order to make all that happen. From everybody here at Dog Nation, I want to wish you guys a good day, a good night, and we'll see you another time on dognation.com. Take it easy, everybody.